The full moon was no longer round, as if a piece had been bitten off by a dog. Hanging in the sky, Wei Wuxian arrived as expected, and Lan Wangji drew his sword. Wei Wuxian hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Let's not play with swords today. Let's compete in something else." As soon as he finished speaking, his hands moved quickly to untie his own belt, and he grabbed the collar of his robe, pulling it open to reveal a smooth, bare chest with well-defined muscles, glowing with a healthy wheat color under the moonlight. Lan Wangji, caught off guard, averted his gaze and reprimanded softly. "What are you doing?" Wei Wuxian quickly stripped off the rest of his upper garments, saying nonchalantly, "Let's have a bout of close combat. But there's a rule. Only upper body movements are allowed. No using the lower body. The one who first pushes the other off the rooftop wins. Why are you standing there? Take off your clothes." Lan Wangji still didn't look at him and coldly said, "Why do I need to take off clothes?" Wei Wuxian said, "Well, that's just how the game is played." Lan Wangji resolutely replied, "I won't take my clothes off." Wei Wuxian teased, "Are you shy? Little old-fashioned? Fine. Then you don't have to take them off." Lan Wangji hesitated for a moment before gruffly saying, "You, put your clothes back on." Wei Wuxian stared at Lan Wangji's extraordinarily wary expression and noticed a subtle hint of what might have been either disgust or embarrassment. Wei Wuxian couldn't help but be amazed. "What? You can't stand to see others take off their clothes? Is everyone in the Gusulan clan as reserved as you? I'm not a girl. What are you afraid of?" Lan Wangji earnestly replied, "Even if you're not a girl, you should still wear your clothes properly." Wei Wuxian was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter, nearly falling off the rooftop. Lan Wangji looked at him, both furious and annoyed, and after a moment, gritted his teeth and said, "Lan clan's rules, one must not be improperly dressed." Wei Wuxian was taken aback, wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes, and said, "There really is such a rule. I was just guessing." For some reason, being so seriously lectured by Lan Wangji, Wei Wuxian couldn't help but laugh. This little old-fashioned, clearly so stolid, yet he always manages to amuse Wei Wuxian to this degree. Truly unbelievable. Once he had properly put his clothes back on, the fight could finally begin. Not being able to use the lower body meant they couldn't use their legs to attack each other, nor could they use lightness skills to jump or fly around. They could only rely on their hands, turning into fists, palms, and fingers to employ various unarmed techniques, forcing the opponent into a corner. During yesterday's match, Wei Wuxian had already experienced Lan Wangji's astonishing arm strength. He had been unwilling to accept it, thinking it was due to his own poor condition. This time, he had firmly and fully experienced it, with each punch landing solidly, as he was forced to the edge of the roof. Both of them were already drenched in sweat, their clothes sticking tightly to their chests and rising and falling with their breathing. The Gusulan clan's uniforms were loose and flowing, giving the wearer an ethereal and flowing appearance. Perhaps it was this kind of deceptive appearance that led Wei Wuxian to think that Lan Wangji had a slim build like his own. Now, with eyes fixed and gaze as sticky as his breath, Wei Wuxian traced the tight and impressive muscle lines beneath Lan Wangji's clothes. Lan Wangji glanced down slightly, and by his ears, he heard Wei Wuxian's curious exclamations of wonder. "Little old-fashioned. Who would have thought? How did you train? They look so substantial. Can you make this chest muscle move? It seems to be moving right now. Can I poke it?" Before his claws could reach within 3 inches of Lan Wangji's chest, Wei Wuxian was already thrown down. Even in the air, Wei Wuxian's protest could be heard. "Stingy!" after testing their upper body strength. The next day, the competition changed to lower body strength. This time, it was Lan Wangji who looked at Wei Wuxian with newfound respect. What he didn't anticipate was that the moves for offense and defense when on the ground could vary so much and be so versatile. Wei Wuxian's legs were flexible and powerful, wrapping around Lan Wangji like a python and tightly gripping him. Then, Wei Wuxian's agile waist moved up along Lan Wangji's thigh section by section, pinning him to the ground effortlessly. In this match, if one held the opponent down for a certain period of time, and by the end of that period, the opponent still couldn't move, the victor would be determined. At the beginning, the two of them kicked and moved like a game of soccer. Suddenly, Lan Wangji made a swift turn, attacking midair. His ankle brushed lightly along Wei Wuxian's calf, hooking just the right way to bring Wei Wuxian down without suspense. With a slight smile towards Lan Wangji, Wei Wuxian's waist and legs twisted upwards. In an astonishing manner, Lan Wangji found himself trapped between Wei Wuxian's legs, struggling in disbelief. However, the more he struggled, the tighter Wei Wuxian's hold became, unrelenting and unbreakable. It was as if the initial fall and being pressed down were merely a calculated move to lure the enemy in deeper. Using his knee as a pivot, Lan Wangji attempted to break free by pushing against Wei Wuxian. Wei Wuxian gritted his teeth and endured for a moment, slowly inhaling as he withstood Lan Wangji's fierce assault, despite his seemingly fragile and pliant body, which appeared weak and submissive. Wei Wuxian's incredible grip, release, and grinding absorbed every bit of Lan Wangji's powerful force and wild onslaught, drawing it all inward. After exerting his strength for a while, Lan Wangji felt a dizzying sensation of lightheadedness, nearly falling into Wei Wuxian's embrace. Both of them were panting heavily, drenched in sweat. Sweat droplets fell from Lan Wangji's forehead onto Wei Wuxian's eyelashes. He blinked a few times to get rid of them, his lips curling into a smile tinged with a bit of smugness. Softly, he coaxed for surrender. Little old-fashioned? Still not giving up? Lan Wangji's lips twitched slightly, and he squeezed out one word. Never. Wei Wuxian's lips moved gently, counting the time bit by bit. Despite not loosening his grip at all, he looked completely at ease, his eyes wandering freely over Lan Wangji. After their recent struggle, Lan Wangji's clothing had become loose and disheveled. Now, with him pressing down from above, his collar was wide open, exposing his chest, which rose and fell beneath the cool, white fabric. The sight gave off a sensation of warmth, almost as if it were about to burst forth. Watching quietly for a moment, Wei Wuxian's idle hands, which had nowhere to rest, curled slightly. His fingertips rubbed together as he made a move, seizing a moment when Lan Wangji was not paying attention. His restless hand slipped in silently, pressing twice on that warm muscle. Wow, this feels amazing. In the next moment, he let out a wail of pain. His hand was mercilessly yanked out, along with the other one that tried to resist, and both were forcefully pulled up and pressed against the top of his head. Lan Wangji's light-colored eyes blazed with anger. Wei Ying. Tears sprang from the corners of Wei Wuxian's eyes as he yelled. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts, Lan Wangji warned. I'm warning you. Wei Wuxian protested vehemently. Little old-fashioned, you're cheating. You can't use your hands to attack. You lose, Lan Wangji said viciously. You were the one who made the first move. Wei Wuxian pleaded his innocence. How was that an attack? I just touched you once. Lan Wangji enunciated each word. You made the first move. And so, the shameless Wei Wuxian lost the match for being touched Lan Wangji secretly. Every night, Wei Wuxian would come up with new tricks for their competitions. However, he never again had the overwhelming lead like the last time. Their matches either ended in a tie or were invalidated due to Wei Wuxian's cheating. During the day, the Lan family prospective bride training class proceeded vigorously, due to Wei Wuxian's attempt to charm and mislead Lan's future wife candidates during embroidery lessons. Lan Qiren issued a strict order, making Wei Wuxian the focus of all the teachers' strict supervision. One night, Lan Wangji noticed Wei Wuxian's hands were covered with uneven, unsightly hangnails and asked him about it. Wei Wuxian said glumly, These past few days, the teacher has been teaching music theory and asked us to choose an instrument to learn. The Gusu Lan clan was famous for their cultivation with the Guqian. So unsurprisingly, all the girls chose to learn the Guqian. However, Wei Wuxian insisted on playing the flute. The music theory teacher told him irritably that there were no flutes in Yunshan. So, he secretly cut down a few green bamboo trees and crafted a few flutes himself. During the class, Wei Wuxian was thrown out because his crudely made flute was out of tune. Just as he stepped out the door, the suspicious teacher dragged him back in. The teacher's gaze repeatedly shifted between the remaining bamboo stump and Wei Wuxian's flute. Consequently, Wei Wuxian was punished for damaging plants and sentenced to kneel in the ancestral hall, after Lan Wangji silently listened to his troubles. He brought a finely crafted black jade flute for Wei Wuxian the next evening. Wei Wuxian was overjoyed. "Is this for me?" Lan Wangji. "Yes." Wei Wuxian looked at him with starry eyes. "Little old-fashioned, you are so good to me. How about letting me go while you're at it?" Lan Wangji replied coldly. "No,